Hey everybody, this is JJ, and right now what I want to do is talk with you about what I feel is the most effective game snare or trap snare, whatever you want to call it. It's really a snare that you can do in a survival situation. Okay, I've made a few videos on different kinds of traps and stuff, and my personal opinion is that most of them are not very effective, and there's two reasons for that. One, they're too hard to make, and you really need about 15 to 20 traps or snares for having a decent chance of getting one animal. Okay, so it's just difficult to make that many traps and really have any good success. When I was up at survival school, the thing that we taught students to do, and as far as I know they still teach, and is really the most effective snare, is a simple spring loop. And in using these, you can use them for rabbits, squirrels, and other kinds of small game like that. What I'm going to show you guys today is a squirrel run or a squirrel pull setup. You can really do it either way. This just happens to be a run here, where you've got a downed tree, and it's got limbs and stuff sticking off of it, but it makes it a really easy path for a squirrel to be able to run down and cover a lot of ground and still be able to be up and see what's going on around them. And if any of you guys are hunters or spend any time in the woods, you know that squirrels love to run on downed trees. Now, to make this an even more effective setup, what you want to do is look around and make sure that you've got a couple of nests, squirrel nests in the area, and that is really, really very effective. The other thing that you can do is, if you've got a little bit of peanut butter, or if you've got some acorns or something, you can grind those up. You can kind of put them along, the run or the downed log, and squirrels are curious. Especially if you've seen one running on it, they'll run on it again. But if they see you over messing with something, chances are they're going to come over and see what you were doing. All right, but they're not very smart, so we've got that in our favor. So I've got two up already. I'll kind of show you how I have them set up and how I'm using funneling on the run to direct them to my loop, and then I'll go ahead and show you how I'm going to build this one right here as well. Now, like I said, really, to be effective at snaring, you need to have enough wire to be able to put out at least 15 to 20 of them. Now, that's just for the probability, a good probability of catching one animal. So in all reality, if you're in a survival situation, you really need to be putting out 80 or 100 traps. Okay, you really need to have quite a few, because otherwise you're probably not going to have a lot of luck. That's just the truth of the matter. And when I've had students go through the survival school, we'll have an element of 6 or 8 or 10 people, and all of them are putting out 5 or 10 different traps, and on occasion we'd catch one, rarely we'd catch two, but not ever more than that, and a small little squirrel, especially up in Washington State, it ain't much food. So my point is that you should carry a good amount of wire. Now, what this is just floral wire. It's 22 gauge floral wire. I got it at Michael's, and I think I paid like $3 for it or something like that. It's 100 feet, and you can make about 100 traps. You need about 12 to 15 inches to make one snare. Excuse me, I use trap and snare interchangeably. So anyway, let's go ahead and pull off some of this. If you're going to have a bigger branch that you're going to attach it to, like this one right here, then you want to probably pull out a little bit more. But usually 12 to 15 inches is enough. Alright, so now you can go ahead, if you have a Gerber multi-tool or a Leatherman or whatever, you can use that to break it. Or you can just put a little kink in the line, get it nice and tight, and then give it a good quick snap and it'll break it. Seems to be the most efficient way as far as I know. Now, what you're going to do is, first off, you want to kind of straighten out your line. Just take it and run it down your thumbnail. Okay, so when you're making this, like I said, basically what you want to do is you want to start by bending over about 1.5 inches. Then you're going to leave about a 1/2 inch tail sticking up, okay, sticking out the end here. I'm going to leave about a 1/2 inch or so. And then I'm going to twist that at least 4 or 5 times. And then, so that leaves me with a loop and a tail sticking off. That's what we want. You want that loop to be about a 1/2 inch or so in diameter. Then you're going to take and twist that loop into 2. So now you have a figure 8. Alright? You're going to take that figure 8 and you're going to double it over onto itself. Now what that's going to do is that's going to make a locking loop, so that when the animal goes through the trap and it tightens around its neck, it's not going to come back undone once it's tightened down on itself. Alright, so that's pretty important because that's overlooked a lot of times. Okay, so now straighten our wire again, kind of get the natural curve to it that we want, and I'm going to run this through the loop. Okay, and then I'm going to turn my tail so that my tail sticks down into the loop, and that tail is designed to be able to catch on the squirrel or whatever runs through and set the spring off. That you're going to set a spring into this wire so that it basically kind of does an initial tightening and startles the animal. That's what you're looking for. Okay, so now I'm going to size this all the way down around my finger. Okay, so it's just sized down around my finger like that. And then I'm going to go back out, and that's kind of setting the initial spring. I want it to be about 3 fingers in width. When I get to my 3-finger point, I'm going to hold that, and I'm going to create a little bump in the wire. So all I've done is I've created that little bump right there. You guys can see that. Okay, and that's going to be my little lock. Now I'm going to take and resize it again. And this takes a little bit of working to get it right. Just takes a little bit of playing with it, finding the right angles. So basically you want about a 3, get the right angle here. You want about a 2.5 or 3 finger diameter for a red squirrel. Something along those lines. So there you can see it. Now I've got this loaded so that when I click it, if a squirrel were to run through there, see how that kind of moves forward? That's what you're looking for. That's the spring aspect to a spring loop snare. Again, like I said, the angle just takes a little bit of working. Okay, so once you've got that, then you've got the little tail sticking down inside there, you're ready to set it. Okay, so what I have here is just a basic, run. This is my squirrel run. Down tree, that's all it is, but they're gonna run on top of this thing. Then I've got some branches right here sticking up off the side, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add this other branch right in here like this as funneling. Okay, so for the squirrel to come through here, the easiest way for him to do this is going to be to run right through the center and run right through here. So that's perfect. That's exactly what I'm looking for. That's some good natural funneling. Now what I want to do is I want to take my loop snare or spring snare, and I want to place it. So I want it to be about 1 inch, 3/4 of an inch to 1 inch off of the main run. And then I'm going to tie that around. It's barely long enough. And I want to make sure I twist that at least 4 or 5 times. So you don't want it to come loose, because they will struggle a lot whenever this gets tightened around them. Alright, so now I'm going to have to take a second, and I'm going to have to kind of get this all worked up into the right position and the right height. Because I want it centered. I want this to be centered in the hole that or the funnel that I'm making for them, so that they will choose to go right in the middle. Now, if need be, kind of tighten your spring up again, run your loop down real small, and then bring it back out, and that should be good to go. Let me give you a close up here. Okay, so that is going to be pretty good placement. You want it to be centered between your funneling. You got your funneling on this side, your tree there. Notice the little tail is sticking down in towards the center, so it'll catch on them. It's loaded, the spring is loaded. So when it runs through there, it's going to poke its head through there, and then that spring's going to kind of do an initial tightening, and they're going to jolt forward. And that's what's going to catch them. And then they're going to keep pushing, and they'll end up falling off the log, and they'll end up strangling themselves. So let me show you a couple more here. Okay, so we've got another one set right here. And again, we've got natural funneling off to this side, as well as over here. And I even put that little stick behind it, so that he would just kind of naturally want to fade right into that loop. Now on that one, I didn't have a long enough tail. I should have had a longer tail on that one. As you can see, it's tied off over here, and it's still going to work. Let's take a look at one last one. Okay, so we have the last one here, tied off right there. And we've got a loop, a little tail on the inside, spring loaded. And then I've placed these branches over here as funneling. Again, about an inch or so off the log, and that's going to work. So just to kind of give you a squirrel's view, I'm going to be running along here like this. I'm going to come up. That's what they're going to see. And they go through right through the middle. Okay guys, so that has been a look at how to place a squirrel run, or squirrel snares along a squirrel run, which is basically just a dead tree laying down in the woods. Squirrels are lazy, they love to take shortcuts. You could do this, you could use this kind of thing, or you can even take a stick and just lay it up 45 degrees at a 45-degree angle on a tree that you know that they run up and down, and that works. You know, they've got a nest in or something like that, and that works too. And you can basically just put, 5, 6, 7, 8, loops along that pole, and they'll run up through it. And it's pretty effective. It really is. It's one of the more effective types of snares out there, I believe. So, as always, I definitely appreciate it if you guys click the thumbs up button. If you share it with your friends on Facebook, Twitter, and Google+. I'd also be interested to know, what do you think is the most effective trapper snare? Stick that in the comments down below. As always, guys, don't forget to live 6 Ps. Proper prior preparation prevents poor performance. Stay safe.